Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you're doing okay. For this week's video, we are going to be doing a perspective drawing, specifically a 1-point perspective drawing. Perspective is used in drawings and paintings to show space and depth in an otherwise two-dimensional form. You can really show things that look like they're far away using perspective. The only things you need for this assignment are, again, something to write with and something to write on. However, you will need a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, you can just use something flat. We don't need the measurement part of a ruler. We need the flat edge part of a ruler. So if you don't have a ruler, don't fret. You can get another piece of paper, a piece of old cardboard, or even some junk mail. That'll work just fine. So I'm gonna start with an example, my example, and then we'll keep going. All right, here's the drawing that we're gonna work on together today. It is a 1-point perspective aquarium scene. And as you can see, using the perspective, I was able to make it look like there was this long hallway on this flat piece of paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a blank piece of paper so we can go through the steps together. Okay, I have my paper ready. I have a pencil, an eraser, and a ruler. Don't forget, you will need a flat edge. If you don't have a ruler, you can just get something else flat that we don't need the measurement part of the ruler. So the first thing on our drawing is we have to draw something called the horizon line. And the horizon line is where the sky meets the ground. So imagine you're looking out over a big, wheat field as far as the eye can go, and all the way out, you can kind of see where the bright blue of the sky meets the top of the wheat, and that is our horizon line. So I'm going to get my ruler, and I want my horizon line to be horizontal. And a horizontal line is a line that goes from side to side. And I want to make sure that my horizon line is perfectly horizontal. And I'm going to show you a quick trick on how to do that. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to find about halfway, and I'm going to move it up a little bit. And because I was listening, I know my art teacher said that it needs to be a perfectly horizontal line. And a way to make sure that our ruler doesn't slowly kind of move around is if you look, the end of your ruler is flat, just like your paper. So if you take the end of your ruler and make sure that it's lined up to the side of, or the edge or the bottom of wherever your paper is, you will get a straight line. So I've got it lined up, again, just a little bit above halfway. And I'm gonna take my pencil, and here's the first super important professional drawing tip. Draw it light until you get it right. I'm going to say it again. Draw it light until you get it right. So for this horizon line, I am going to make sure that I'm going to draw it lightly because I'm not sure that if I've got it right. Okay, so I'm going to take my pencil and my ruler, and I'm going to draw a line straight across. Okay, just like that. And I've got a couple little, there we go. All right. We have our horizon line. We made sure it was nice and straight. Everything looks great so far. The next thing we need to do is we need to establish where the vanishing point is. The vanishing point is the point in all perspectives that everything vanishes to, right? So in the previous example, the aquarium, here, I can just pull it over here. If you were to guess, where is my vanishing point? If you know the vanishing point is the point where everything vanishes to, well, it's actually really, really easy. You can see all the lines pointing right to the vanishing point. So on our drawings, we need to get that set. So I'm gonna go back over here to my horizon line, and I'm gonna pick just some spot in the middle. It doesn't have to be precise. You don't have to measure or anything like that. And I'm gonna put a small dot, all right? I'm gonna put a small dot. Now your dot should be a little smaller than mine. I needed to make it big for the camera, but you get the idea. Okay, now we need to set up some of the lines that actually make it look like a perspective, some of the perspective lines. So I'm gonna pick up my ruler again, and essentially what my next two steps are, I'm going to draw an X, but my vanishing point is the middle. All all right? I'm gonna draw an X. The vanishing point is the middle. So I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm gonna kind of look at my angle. And there isn't a correct angle here. There isn't any wrong way to do it at this point. So I'm just gonna make sure that it's not too straight up and down, but it's also not too flat where my ruler's laying flat. So I'm gonna just kind of pick an angle right in the middle, and I'm gonna make sure that my ruler is going right through that dot, and it is. Everything looks great. All right, I am gonna go ahead and draw my line straight through my dot. Straight through my dot. That dot didn't know what hit it, okay? All right, so once I get that side done, now I need to do the other side of my X. Remember, we're drawing an X where the middle is our vanishing point. So I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm just gonna try my hardest to match, okay? If we were a big fancy architect and these were real drawings of buildings, I would be a lot more careful, but since this is just an aquarium, the stakes aren't so high, all right? Okay, I've got my ruler and I kind of just eyeballed it and I looked and that looks just about right. I made sure that it's going through my vanishing point right here. Everything looks good. I'm gonna take my pencil and I am going to complete that X, okay? So for those playing along at home, you should have your horizon line. Remember, that's the line where the sky kind of meets the earth, all right? And then we have our vanishing point. That's the point where everything is going to vanish to, and here in a second, that'll make a lot more sense. And then we drew a big X, and you probably, maybe some of you can kind of see, but this right here, this bottom triangle, that's actually going to be our walkway. That's going to be our walkway, okay? All right, so we need to do a couple of more things, right? So essentially on our drawing right now, we have the vanishing point and we have this X. Do you see it now? Maybe, maybe not. We need to draw these supports, okay? And that's what's gonna kind of help it bring the whole drawing together. So pick up your ruler. And we're gonna start by drawing some horizontal lines, Remember, horizontal lines are lines that are laying down, so they run side to side. And what we're gonna do is we're going to draw some horizontal lines, and these are gonna help us for those supports. All right, these are gonna help us for those supports of the aquarium. All right, so I'm gonna scoot my ruler right up here, close to my horizon line. And remember the tip, I need to make sure that it is perfectly horizontal. So I'm gonna take my ruler and I am going to line it up right over here to the edge of my paper to help. All right, now I'm gonna start by drawing a line not too far away from my vanishing point. Just a straight horizontal line right there. All right, before we draw anything else, we need to talk. Okay, if you notice when you look out the window, things that are further away appear to be what? They appear to be smaller, right? Think about looking at a row of trees, okay? The trees that are closest to you are bigger, and the trees that are further away are smaller, okay? Smaller. And because they're smaller, they also appear to be closer together. They're not really closer together, but our eye and our brain trick us because of the distance, all right? So if we know that, and if we know that things appear to be smaller and kind of closer together as they're further away from us, then the lines that are right up here that are further away from us will be closer together. Everything will appear to be a little bit smaller. So now that I know that as things move closer to me, they're going to get bigger, we need to kind of space out some more of our supports for our aquarium. So I'm making sure that my ruler's lined up because I'm drawing a horizontal line, and I'm gonna scoot my ruler and I'm gonna scoot it out just a little bit more than I did right up here, okay? Because again, as things get closer, they get bigger and kind of far apart, all right? So I made sure my ruler was lined up. I scooted it just a little bit down from this horizontal line, and I just drew another one right there. Okay, so I'm gonna do this all the way down. making sure that as I scoot my ruler down closer and closer and closer to the bottom of my paper, that they're getting a little bit further apart, right? So I'm making sure that it's lined up over here. My pencil, draw right there. All right, making sure it's lined up here. Line right there. All right, I'm getting close to the bottom now. Close to the bottom now. Make sure it's lined up right here. Draw my straight line. I can probably do one more right down here. All right, bottom of my paper is cut off a little bit. There we go. Okay, I'll do one more right down here. Again, this is the closest to me, so this one should be the biggest space, right? Because it's the closest one. So I'm gonna get that lined up. And I'm gonna draw my line right across. Okay, so for those paying attention too, this is also the foundation of the floor, of the checkered floor on our walkway for our aquarium. Okay, all right, so now we have some guidelines that we'll be able to use as the pattern on the floor later on, but these are gonna help us with the supports, with these right here, because we want to make sure that they're starting and stopping on the same side, you know, on the same area on each side, right? So those lines are going to help us. Okay, so I've got my ruler again, and I am going to draw from the point right down here. You see where that horizontal line kind of intersects with this right here, one of the lines that made our X, this point right here. We're gonna draw a vertical line from that point, all right? I'm gonna take my ruler, I'm gonna line it up to the bottom of my page, right down here, the very, very bottom, to make sure that it's straight. So we want a straight vertical line. And unlike a horizontal line that lies on its side, a vertical line is straight up and down, straight up and down, all right? So I'm gonna take my ruler, line it up right here. I've got that point, and then I'm gonna draw a line straight up and down, straight up and down, okay? Straight up and down. And actually, we need to go ahead and extend this up. So take my ruler right here, make sure it's lined up. There we go. Boom. All right. All right, we needed to extend that line all the way. And on mine, because the X kind of goes off the page up here, it literally is running up to the page. But here in a minute, I'm gonna show you some examples on how we know when to stop, okay? All right, so now I'm gonna take my ruler, and on each of these points right here, where my horizontal lines have kind of touched this diagonal line right here, I'm gonna draw a vertical line, all right? So again, vertical lines are straight up and down. I'm making sure that my ruler is lined up on the bottom of my page. And I am gonna draw a line, another line straight up, okay? Straight up. Now, the next one, right here, I'm gonna do the same exact thing, okay? So I'm gonna line my ruler up down here on the bottom, making sure that it's perfectly vertical. But on this one, I'm actually going to stop right here. So I'm gonna draw the line straight up, and I am going to stop right there. So I'm not gonna carry it past that other diagonal line, all right? Let's do a couple more on this side. So I'm gonna take my ruler, I'm gonna line it up, make sure that it's straight. There. I got two more. So I'm gonna take my ruler, make sure that it's straight. I'm actually gonna line it up to the top of my paper right here. Right there. One more, and then I've got one more. I'm gonna line it up right there. All right. So now some of you might be able to see it. Some of you still might have a little bit of trouble, but we're not done by any stretch. So now we have right here, these are kind of the supports along this walkway in our aquarium. We need to repeat the process on this side. So just like we had done over here, we're going to take our ruler and we're going to draw vertical lines, so straight up and down, and we're going to draw them right where those lines stop on this diagonal, and it's going to go up and meet that diagonal. All right, so oops, my paper shifted. So I'm going to take my ruler again, line it up, lining it up right here on the top of the paper. And I'm gonna start all the way in the back to do my little one. And I'm gonna go down each of these and repeat my steps. Okay, make sure the ruler's lined up. Right here. There. I'm just kind of moving my ruler down, making sure that it's lined up. And again, if you notice, I'm keeping the lines inside of this X, right? They don't extend all the way up. Okay, I just have two more. One right there. And then finally this one right over here. All right, now we have this kind of creepy, trippy looking optical illusion almost. Okay, so we have a few ways we can go, but I think the next thing we should do is we should complete these supports right here, all right? So I want you to imagine that you're walking down this glass hallway, but the top is kind of rounded. It's a dome, okay? And then you can see the fish swimming above you and below you. So we just need to draw the dome portion of this. So if you look right back here, all of these lines come in pairs, right? You drew one side and then you drew the other side. Those are the two sides that you are going to link using a curved line. So I'm gonna go back here, I'm gonna find these two pairs right here, and I am going to draw a curved line connecting those two just like that, all right? Now I'm gonna go to the next set right here, this pair right here, and I will do the same thing, just right like that. All right, find the next pair. Oops, has a little dent in it. That is why you draw it light until you get it right. So when you make mistakes like that, you can very easily erase them. All right, so I'm obviously not going to be able to draw the arches on all of them. I have just about one more, and actually it looks like it's going to go off the page, and it does. So you may have more to draw depending on how you drew your X, but I only needed to draw 3. So this up here looks great. I'm gonna leave that until the very end when we get to doing our finishing touches. I would say the next thing we need to do is let's make this walkway right down here. So to make it appear that the tiles are slowly getting smaller as you walk down the hallway, we need to draw some more perspective lines. So go ahead and grab your ruler. And we're gonna be using the vanishing point. The vanishing point is what makes perspectives perspective, okay? So I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm gonna draw some of the lines that will make the sides of the pattern of the squares. And I know that probably didn't make a whole lot of sense. Just follow along with me. Right, so I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm gonna make sure that it's lined up to the vanishing point, okay? And I'm gonna start making some lines for my tile, all right? So I know that my tile starts right here. So I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm gonna kind of rotate it on the vanishing point, and I'm gonna draw a couple of these lines coming off of the perspective, the vanishing point. Sorry, I just say the perspective point, the vanishing point. All right, so I line it up and I am just eyeballing this. If you want to, you can definitely measure it. If you want them to be exactly precise, I would recommend measuring along the bottom right here to make your tick marks, okay? But for my purposes, I am not gonna do that. So I'm just taking my ruler and I'm kind of rotating it on the vanishing point. Right? Perspectives are really, really fun because they have rules. And if you follow the rules, you will have a really nice drawing nearly every time. Just like that. All right, so now it kind of looks like a guitar, right? If you're staring down a guitar. All right, now our tiles aren't exactly square. So we've got all of these perspective lines that help make it look like they're shrinking into the vanishing point, but we need to add just a couple of more horizontal lines. Remember, horizontal lines are the lines that run side to side to make it look a little bit more like tile. So I'm gonna take my ruler again, or whatever flat thing I've been using this whole time, and I am gonna add some horizontal lines in my floor here to make them look more like squares. Right now they kind of look like rectangles. So I'm gonna line my ruler up to the edge of my paper over here. And how I have this laid out, I'm essentially just gonna draw a line in between these two posts right here on the floor, okay? So take my ruler, making sure that it's horizontal, perfectly horizontal, and I'm gonna line it up in between those two. And then I'm gonna draw a horizontal line straight across. So you can see right down here, just adding that one line instantly made it look a little bit more like tiles. So I'm gonna take my ruler again, and I'm gonna rinse and repeat right up here, kind of in between the two. That, there you go. All right, so I'm gonna follow these steps, making sure my ruler is lined up over here, and add a few more horizontal lines. There, there, and then right up here, they start to get really close together, and then all the way up here, boop, little bitty tiles all the way back in there. All right, so now we have our checkered floor. From here, you have a couple of different options. You can start to add your fish and your sand dunes or treasure chest or anchor or whatever you would like. I thought if you did not want to do an aquarium scene, you could do maybe an outer space. Maybe this is like a walkway in between two buildings on the moon. That would be really creative. You could draw your moon craters out here. Say it's a protected walkway in the jungle. So instead of sharks and big bright fish, maybe there are like tigers and exotic cats around here. But really, you get to fill this perspective drawing with whatever you want. Okay? The next couple of steps from here are super, super simple. I won't even walk through all of them. You are more than welcome to leave the supports, just this one line, and then you can go over it with marker or crayon if you would like. For my drawing, I wanted them a little thicker, a little meatier. So what I did is I took my ruler and I essentially made them thicker and meatier. And this is exactly how I did that. So if you want them to be a little wider, all you have to do is take your ruler, and right here is the original support. I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm gonna draw another vertical line right next to it. Just right here. And that instantly beefed up my support, okay, right there. But the beautiful thing about this drawing is that you don't have to worry about drawing your animals in perspective. You can just go in here and start adding your colorful fish if you want. Here's one right here with an eyeball. You can add some decoration. So maybe some underwater rocks or stones with some barnacles. Say you have a clamshell sticking out over here. I mean, really, the possibilities are absolutely endless, and I cannot wait to see what you come up with. If you have any questions, or if I forgot to say anything important, please reach out to me. You can leave a comment, and I'll do my best to help you. But I hope you have a good time doing this 1-point perspective aquarium scene. I had a ton of fun. Thank you for sticking with me to the end, and go make something.